Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I will give it 30 seconds for people to roll in and then we will get going. But hi, Andrew. How are you today?
Very well, thank you, Kaylee. How are you?
Excellent. Not too bad. I'm in London, hence the blurry hotel background going on in London for Accountex, which will be very exciting. Looking forward to seeing lots of people.
Excellent. Yeah, me too. I'll be there.
Excellent. That's what we like to hear. But conscious of time, let's kick off. I'm sure people will continue to roll in, but let's get going either way. So, welcome everyone to the second of our expert fireside sessions, where we are having four wonderful firms reveal the secrets behind their growth. I'm Katie Graham, Head of Partnerships and Growth here at Telaroo. Last week, I was joined by Mitch Hahn, who is the CEO of Nordens, where we talked about their organic growth and their acquisition journey. But before I let today's guest introduce themselves, a little bit of housekeeping. There is a Q&A box, so please do pop any questions that you have throughout the session in there, and we will absolutely have some time to get to them at the end. Please do use the chat box and share your thoughts. You can agree with us, disagree with us, just no heckling, please. And we do have two sessions left after today, one on the 21st and one on the 28th, both at 4 p.m., where we will have two other fabulous leaders sharing their journeys with us. So, without further ado, let's dive in. Mr. Andrew Turpin, please introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Andy Turpin. I'm a partner at PEM. We are a mid-tier firm based in Cambridge, around 250 employees, and we provide a full service offering to our clients throughout tax, accountancy, do insolvency, we do payroll, we do corporate finance. And I head up our virtual finance office, which is our outsourcing arm.
Amazing. Thank you very much. So, these sessions are all about growth. So, I'm going to start by launching a poll straight away to find out whether growth is a top priority for the firms that we have on with us today. So, yes, it's your main objective, it's important, but it's amongst other priorities. You're not sure, it's not the focus right now, or something else, in which case, please do pop something in the chat box. But while people are voting on that, Andy, let's talk about your career journey and where you
Sure.
first started out, if that's okay.
Sure. So I've probably had three careers, I suppose, or three different phases to my career. I started out, Christ, close to 25 years ago, in small practice. Um, I came in from university as a trainee, so I made tea and did all sort of the menial tasks. But it was small practice, one partner, 12 employees. So I got involved in a bit of everything. So I did a little bit of audit, bit of accounts prep, some management accounts, did some payroll, did VAT, did tax returns, did pretty much everything that you do other than personal tax. We had a personal tax team of one, but I got involved with most other things. Spent 6 years there, qualified ACCA, promoted to assistant manager, and then I kind of got itchy feet and wanted to go and see what it's like on the other side of the fence. So I left to work in a company in industry. It was a company in a manufacturing sector. Joined as financial controller, the senior finance person in the company, and I lasted 15 months. It was a bit of a rude awakening to industry. It was a company where there's all sorts of financial issues. So my days were spent sort of firefighting and batting off suppliers, chasing money. It was an experience. I wouldn't say it was a great experience, but it was an experience. And I sort of left there after 15 months and worked for another company in industry, again, sort of manufacturing, but manufacturing engineering environment. And this company was in this sort of oil and gas industry sector and was on a sort of a growth trajectory. We had different owners come in. We set up a subsidiary, we purchased another business, set up a holding company, moved premises. So quite a lot of interesting stuff went on over sort of my 7, 8 years there. Built a finance team of four there in my time there. When I arrived there as a finance team of none, and then I arrived as a finance team of one. So grew that over time. So that was a enjoyable experience. But then I sort of got itchy feet again, and I was looking around at different opportunities out there, and a lot of sort of FD roles they come with HR and IT responsibilities, things I wasn't massively passionate about at that point in time. So I guess a chance call and a meeting with one of the partners at PEM opened up this opportunity to come in and lead the virtual finance office. So I joined here just over 8 years ago now, and I guess sort of haven't looked back.
Amazing. Quite the journey. You sound like me. I get itchy feet quite often as well. Always up for a new challenge, as they say. But fantastic. And in terms of the poll, it's looking like we've got about 50% saying actually growth is really important to them at the moment, but amongst other priorities, 25% main objective, and a few that I'm not sure as well. So in terms of that virtual finance offering, let's get stuck into it. What does that offering actually entail?
Um, what does it entail now? What did it entail 8 years ago?
Let's do both. Where did it start and where are we at now?
So when I started, we had maybe 50 clients, team of 11, something like that, and we provided, I suppose, more generic outsourced services. We didn't use as much of the technology we do today. We probably use Zero for maybe 70% of our clients, but we're a bit more kind of software agnostic than we've become. We didn't use any other apps, any other tools, so it was sort of a manual processing process, but we did processing, we did payments for clients, we did VAT returns, we did management accounts. So what we do hasn't massively changed over 8 years. But what has changed is how we do it. So fast forward to where we are today, we've got a team of 39 people. We've got clients in excess of 300. I should have worked out the number for this, but in excess of 300, less than 400 in that kind of space.
Yeah.
Larger clients as well. We are using much more technology to leverage efficiencies. So we're using data extraction tools. We're using approval workflow tools. We're using
Mhm.
Teleroo for payments. Um, we're using Zero for 95% plus of our clients, and there are some
Mhm.
that have weird and wonderful systems that no one has ever heard of that we sort of can't shift them away from, but that's fine. We can work with that. And there are some that have grown a bit larger and are using things like NetSuite, SAP, Ledger systems like that, but most are using Zero. Um, so we provide it's very similar service, but we've sort of stopped the once a month doing the processing. It's daily processing, it's daily, weekly bank recs, it's weekly, fortnightly payment runs, it's monthly management accounts, it's VAT returns, it's cash flow forecasting. So it's streamlined the whole of the services and used the sort of what I believe are the right sort of technologies to help in that process.
Amazing. Gonna launch a poll to find out how people are intending to achieve the growth that they're after. But I think in terms of the growth that you've had in that VFO offering, what do you think has driven that? Why do you think more business owners are looking for that support from you guys?
It's a good question. I don't think there's one answer. Um, I think that PEM are a firm where we've probably got 2 to 3,000, something like that, corporate clients. We've got
Mhm.
250 staff. So a lot of growth has come from PEM year-end accounts clients looking at different ways to do their own internal functions. Clients we've worked for in the past have moved to other companies and have got in touch with us. We get referrals from banking contacts, legal contacts, freelance CFOs, good sort of source of referrals. We don't sort of encroach on the CFO space, the proper CFO space.
Yeah.
Um, I think that MTD has helped the digitalization of accounting records, but I don't think there's the deluge that I expected, perhaps. I know the government sort of stepped in and put bridging software in the way, which is a bit of a blocker, allow people to still do things a bad way. But I think what's happened in the last sort of 4 years with COVID and post-COVID has really kind of given business owners the ability to see the different way of doing things. So the hybrid working environment where you don't have to have your accountant sitting on a desktop PC in the corner of an office manually processing invoices. You can look at other ways to do things. And companies that are of a certain size that want a little bit of a bookkeeper, a little bit of a management accountant, a little bit of a financial controller, you can't go out and hire that. You have to go out and outsource that to a firm or an organization that's large enough to provide all these functions that you need to run your business successfully. So I think there's lots and lots. There's no right answer. I said there's lots of different ways. So I think you do a good job for your existing clients, and they'll tell people about it. But also just talk about what you do with your existing clients that don't use it yet, and be there to support them when they are. If we've had clients come to us because their financial controller, their management accountant has left or has gone off sick, and they're going, help, can you help us out? And yeah, sure, we can help you out. And sometimes it's a short term, and sometimes it becomes a longer standing arrangement.
Absolutely. I think that's really important. I think when we look at the poll results here of how people are intending to achieve that growth, actually the key thing that's come up is upselling clients to new services. But I think a lot of the time people are they're quite afraid of those conversations. But I think like you're just saying there, actually there's a real opportunity to step in and to offer that helping hand and to offer that guidance. And then like you say, one of two things is going to happen. It's either going to be some short-term support for them, in which case, great, you've helped them out, or actually they're going to go, wow, you guys are incredible. And
Yeah.
then it's going to be a longer-term play for them, right?
Yeah, I say don't be afraid to ask the question. You you're not going out there to sell them something. You're going out there to see if you can add more value and provide additional support. And they can say no. Can we help you with something? Maybe. Explore it a bit further, and the answer is yes or no. And even if it's no, then they might come back further down the line. So it's just having a conversation. It's getting to understand the client's business and what they might need and what value they need from a finance function.
Exactly that. And I think that's often the challenge that I think we see in the industry is people are starting with what am I selling, not what's the problem I'm solving, right? And
Yeah,
actually, like you say, if you go in with that view of how can we help you, what can we support you with, what is it that you need, and then come up with a tailored solution that does all of that, chances are they're going to get a yes more than a no. But even if you do get a no, you know you've explored all of the options in the right way.
exactly.
Really, really great advice there. Thank you very much. So growth is a huge topic. We're obviously seeing that in the poll results here. People are signing up for these webinars. People are really interested in this as a topic. For firms that are maybe doing more of the compliance work, the year-end piece, do you think that VFO is an area that firms should be exploring when they're thinking about new services they can offer?
Yes, but ultimately it depends on what the client's needs are. So some clients may just want that year-end compliance service.
Mm-hmm.
Ask them, talk to them, listen to them, ask more questions than you answer. So clients can then you'll find out from your clients because they'll tell you what they need. They won't tell you necessarily in the language that you would necessarily use yourself, but you can pull the little gems out of it. So it really does depend on the clients. And yes, I think everybody needs the accounting records to be kept up to date. I don't think you can make great business decisions on crap or no accounting records. So you've got to get the data in. It's how best to get the data in, how people want to do it, how they value their own time in doing it. So if they want to do it themselves, great, you can help them to set up to do it themselves if they feel that's the best use of their time. But that could be hampering the growth of their business, in which case you can provide a low cost, efficient solution to be able to support that process for them.
100%. We obviously on the payment side get it quite a lot when we're talking both to accountants and to business owners directly of people going, well, this is something we can log into our banks and do ourselves. And I'm like, yeah, you can, but how long is it taking you? And it's exactly that piece, right? If it's taking you a whole day to process all your supplier and payroll payments,
Yep.
chances are you could spend that day better
Yep.
elsewhere, right? No one sets up a business because they really love doing their bookkeeping, right? So
No.
chances are there's a better place they can be spending that time.
Yeah. And on the payment space, that's a good example because when I first started here 8 years ago, we were doing exactly that, logging into clients' bank accounts and setting up the payments for them manually. And
Yep.
most clients had an approval process, but some didn't. That's massively dangerous. And so using Teleroo now as a software which links through with Zero, we don't have to key the information in twice, and we're not attached to any clients' bank accounts. There's a risk that there's that risk of manually keying information has gone away. That credit risk on the individuals has gone away. There's the built-in features to check whether the bank details have changed. So that's all extra security for the client. So it's a no-brainer. It's more efficient, cheaper for the client, better for us. Win-win.
Could put me out of a job, Andy. But yeah, exactly. All of that.
Sorry.
No, exactly that. And I think that's the thinking about all of these different processes, though, right? Is that it's not necessarily, I think with the VFO service, I think we are seeing a lot of people wanting to move into that space and almost overcomplicating it slightly, right? And that's not to say it can't be a complex service, that there aren't lots of different things to it, but I think people are overcomplicating it and not stripping it back to actually what are the challenges that business owners are having? What are the things that we can do to solve them? Let's package that up into a service offering that we
Yeah.
can deliver.
We undersell our expertise as accountants. We really do. We think what we do is basic and simple, but it ain't. A lot of business owners get scared by it, but are not afraid to admit when they are scared and what they can't do. So I think we need to, value our services, value what we do, demonstrate the value to clients, but understand what they want from us, what value they do want. Because just by saying I can do your VAT return for you, that's not particularly sexy. It's
Yeah.
essential, but it's not that cool. But being able to forecast when they're going to run out of money, that's far more exciting. Taking away the heavy lifting from them. So are they going home at night and spending an hour a day doing processing and manually keying in receipts and information? Give them a tool like Dex. It just becomes a lot simpler for them.
100%.
It's a bit of a no-brainer, I suppose. But I guess I live, sleep, eat, breathe it. I've been doing it for
Exactly.
8
It's a
years, so
no-brainer
it's
because you're an
no-brainer.
expert at doing it. Yeah, exactly that. But I think for a lot of people it's not that. But again, it's that kind of thing, right? Forecasting is a huge one that comes up all the time of actually, well, we don't use forecasting software because our clients don't ask us for a forecast. Well, yeah, because no
Mm,
one wakes up and goes, oh, I think I'd really like a forecast today, right? But
yeah,
actually, what they probably are worrying about is, have I got enough money to do this? Am I going to run
yeah,
out of money? Can I afford to pay this? Can I afford to pay that? And it's exactly that. It's talking about it in business owner
yeah,
speak, not in accounting speak, and then solving those problems
yeah,
with things like forecasting, etc. But
yeah.
no one wakes up and goes, I'd really like a forecast today.
It's being able to translate the problems of the business owner into a solution that you can provide for them.
100%. Mitch on the webinar last week, I think he said something like, stop talking accounting speak and speak business speak, which is exactly that, right?
Yeah. When we send out management accounts, we don't use words like accruals, prepayments, and depreciation in the commentary because people don't understand it.
Yeah, exactly that. And I think that's ultimately to me, like when I think about the VFO offering that you guys have, that's exactly what it is. It's taking all of these complex finance things that business owners don't want to have to think about, that they're worried about, that they don't understand, whatever it is, and turning it into actionable things that they can take away and understand and do things with and make
Yeah.
decisions about, right?
It is definitely, definitely. And we as accountants are trained on the technical side, but the most important part of our role is the human side. It's interacting with people. When you're doing the sort of the technical, the processing bits, that's where the technology, in future bots and AI will come into play. But the human to human interaction is the piece that has evolved to where it is today and will evolve further. And it's building that rapport and that empathy with your clients. So they come to you when they've got a operational business issue, not an accounting issue. And then you can
Yeah,
help provide that solution for them for those areas as well.
exactly that. On that, we've talked about a whole bunch of services that you guys are doing in there. So I'm going to launch a poll for everyone asking what services they have at the moment and what services they're planning to add in the near future, just to get a feel for some of those bits in there. But actually, on that kind of conversation that we were having, we're still hearing the buzzword of advisory being pushed around, right? And actually, it
Yeah.
seems like it's starting to quieten down a little bit. But actually, how do you think the VFO offering that you guys have makes you better placed to offer true advisory to clients?
I think it comes back to what is advisory, and it's many things to many people. I think you can't offer any advisory without good data. So
Yeah,
it's getting the good data first of all, and then it's be able to um, interpret the data to tell somebody where they are right now. Um, so that in itself is advisory. You can talk about badge it as cash flow forecasting. You can badge it as management information. You can badge it as tax planning, but it all comes back to having good data at your fingertips to be able to then interpret and talk to your clients, the human interaction. Um, we talk about maybe systems advisory as something that we're getting involved with. What systems should clients be using? Should we be sitting manually processing into a legacy desktop system? I would argue no. Should we be using the latest extraction tools and cloud software to be able to deliver an efficient solution? I would argue yes, but that's still coming back to getting the data into a system so it can be extracted to make great decisions. I think it all comes back to data and interpretation and then communication and delivery.
absolutely. And I think one of the questions that typically comes up when we're talking about a VFO offering is how much interaction does the team have with clients? How often are you speaking to clients when you're delivering this service?
Again, it's a very difficult question to answer. So some clients, they literally don't want to be contacted until a week before the VAT return's due. We do work with
Yeah,
clients like that. Are they our favorite type of client? No. Some clients will talk to, as in talk to, weekly. Some clients we will communicate with on a daily basis. We're talking about, invoices, information, talking about coding, these sorts of things. So lots and lots of touch points. But I think you've got to interact with your client at least monthly, if not more. because if you're not, I mean, if you're doing management accounts for a client, then you got to be talking to them before the management accounts go out, because there's stuff they will know that you can't possibly know that needs to go into those management accounts. And then you've got to be delivering them and talking about what they mean and interpreting, and then thinking about kind of the business going forwards. So at least kind of twice a month, that sort of service. And even if it is a fairly sort of compliance-led bookkeeping VAT return service, I'd still say on a monthly basis, because the client may well be going into Zero, looking at the data and making decisions based upon what's there, not what's missing. And only they know. Well, you might have an idea what's missing, but they're going to be better placed than you to know what's missing. Yeah, things like bank fees can help you understand what might be missing, but there could well be things that haven't yet been paid that are missing, that the client hasn't provided you with yet. So I'd say little touch points, little and often. And even in this sort of hybrid working world, we try and have face-to-face meetings with clients where we can. We don't necessarily shy away from that. But what the sort of the video call world that we're in now has helped to probably have more visual touch points with clients, than sort of just sending emails or sending Teams messages. And I think you can't gauge the person's mood, feelings on a message. You've got to kind of at least talk to them like this, if not face to face.
I think that's huge. I'm always perplexed when we come across a business owner who is like receiving management accounts from their accountant every month with no commentary. They just get emailed across and that's it. And
Yeah.
you ask them and you say, do you understand what's in them? Are you using these to make decisions? And they're like, no, they're just emailed across once a month and I might have a quick look and that's it. And you're
Yeah.
like, that's not the point, and they're not getting any of the value out of it,
No,
right?
but why does that business owner have management accounts? Is it a box ticking exercise for the bank? Because some have them for that
Yeah,
reason. In which case, I don't think it's okay personally, but it might be okay for that business owner, because that may be all he wants them for. But depends what he wants to get out of his business at the end of the day. But yeah, you're right.
100%.
You can't get proper value from a set of management accounts without at least a bit of commentary. But to put context to it, I think you've got to talk it through as well. You can't just have lines of writing. You got to ask them about, make sure they understand it. Ask them about what's going on, what challenge they're currently facing. Is the commentary fit for purpose? Does the commentary answer the questions they might have? Do they understand it? There's a lot more in there than just a few words to say, profit's gone up and down and stationery is a bit higher this month and that sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly that. Like you say, without the context, without the conversation, a lot of it is almost meaningless, right?
Hmm.
But for people thinking, yep, we want to get stuck in, this sounds like something we want to be doing, where do you start? When you joined 8 years ago and it was right at the start, what were the first things you were thinking about needing to bring in, to change, to process, whatever?
Yeah, I had no idea. I came from an industry role. I had no idea what to. I hadn't heard of Zero until about a week before I started, so I had no idea. I think I came into a team of 11 where we had 50 or 60 clients, so it was already operating. So you come in, you get to know the personalities, you get to know the clients, you get to understand how you do things. And I went to my first Zero Con within a couple of months of joining, and kind of opened my eyes to the sort of the possibilities. So I think, guess it's being curious about what's out there with the technology, how the technology can help you enable the services and do a better job for your clients is a good starting point. But it comes back to what do you have at the start? Do you have clients already? What do you do for those clients? What more could you do for those clients? What do they need? And then thinking about kind of how you then sort of set up and deliver it. I mean, I think a lot of people, you go back 5, 6, 7 years ago, everyone got a bit software drunk, didn't they? They're just like, let's go and try every new shiny app that's out there.
Yeah.
And that sort of settles down, and it's getting the right apps in place. It's working with trusted app partners, and this takes a bit of time to find your right trusted app partner. Not everyone uses Zero. Some people use Sage, some people use QuickBooks. That's okay, that works for them. Not everyone uses Dex.
Yeah.
Some people use Auto Entry or HubDoc, whatever. That's fine. And I think it's what works for you and what works for your clients. It helps you deliver that consistency of service, because ultimately your business and how to deliver your services to your clients, and the client knows their business. You don't want to be in a situation where you're delivering a massively bespoke service to every single client in a different way. Try and sort of standardize as much as possible.
100%. I think just on the software piece, I think that's a really important point. There's some research recently that was suggesting that actually, if we look at the last like 10 years, typically firms were spending like between 5 to 7% of revenue on software, and that actually that's now creeping up quite a lot. And for some of the smaller firms, that's now sitting at anywhere between 15 and 20% of revenue, which is a lot of money to be spending,
Yeah.
right? And I think we've got Accountex this week, for example. What would be your top tips, things to look out for firms when it comes to looking at new software partners?
I think it's understand what your problem is first. So understand what you're trying to solve, and then there are places out there, Zero, App Marketplace, App Advisory Plus, places where you can go and have a look at what
Yeah,
sort of apps might solve your problem. Then go and talk to two or three of them, get a demo, and and then make an informed decision about which route you're going to take. And I would suggest you sort of once you made a decision, build a partnership with that app because no app will solve 100% of your problems. 100, not even Teleri does. 100% that will not happen.
yeah.
So if you find an app that will solve 95% of your issues, you're probably doing pretty well. And then work with them to help develop the app further to then, expand what you can do with it.
I think that's a huge, huge point. I think, like you say, finding somewhere where you can have a true partnership with them, where you can give that feedback, where hopefully that feedback is listened to and implemented, and then you create, like you say, a real partnership. And then, actually, if there are gaps in what they're offering, at least you can have a really open conversation that says, "This is a gap, and this is probably a gap we're not looking to fill." And so, actually, you might need something else to do that, or actually,
Yep.
yeah, it's on the roadmap, and this is where it's coming, and you can help to shape the direction of that. I think that's really important. But conscious of time, I am going to launch one more poll, which is just around whether anyone on here is looking to add any new services in 2024. We're just trying to get a feel for whether there is still appetite for people to add new services, to be bringing in new software, or actually whether everyone is a little bit softwared out at the moment. But while people are filling that in, what has been the biggest challenge in running the VFO team so far?
Another good question. Um, I would say I think getting the right software in has been a challenge. I think
Mhm.
I'll use Dex as an example. We dabbled with it for a couple of years before we actually got it properly embedded in, and I'd say take advantage of the training that the software apps can provide. And we didn't initially, and we thought I will just sort of play at it. There are plenty of reasons why we didn't. We were growing really quickly. We were struggling with people. So that I understand why. I think find great people. Hire people better than you. That's what they always say, isn't it? And find great people who can deliver the service to clients. And that recruitment's been a challenge across the accounts profession ever since I can remember. So that's always a challenge as well. Um, Getting clients in has not necessarily been a huge challenge. There's an awful lot of work out there. It's getting the right clients and I guess learning when to say, no, you're not the right client for me or for us. I think that's sometimes people end up working with every single client that comes just because it's a client and they hopefully pay the bills. So I think there's three things there. I think that the technology, the people, and the clients are the three things that are the most important, but equally the most challenging.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more. And 100% of people looking to add a new service in the near future, which is
Good.
great to hear. Conscious of time and the fact we want to do a little bit of Q&A, what would be your biggest tip for any leaders in accounting today? And then I will fire some questions at
So that's a tough one.
you.
One biggest tip. Hmm, I don't know, I thought come back to what I just said really about sort of technology and about people and about clients. Don't be afraid to turn clients away. Um, Hire well. Um, invest in talent and in people. And pick the right software partners. Sorry, that was
Amazing.
three.
We'll bundle it as one. It's fine.
Yeah.
One of the questions here, I think we've already covered around kind of your tips for someone setting up a VFO service, so we'll leave that one. But next one, how do you pitch to clients or convince clients to work with you and use your services where you don't have a physical presence, so where you're potentially working with them remotely?
Okay. So when a client inquiry comes in, most will come in, most come in by email probably rather than a cold phone call. So you've got an idea a little bit about what the client might want on the email. So I would tend to go back to them by email and arrange a call. So I don't like just conversing by email, but I don't want to sort of pick up the phone and cold call them. So I want, the client to be comfortable that, because they might be working in an office where they can't talk or whatever. So just set up a video call meeting and then just chat through. So to find out about the client, ask them about the business, find out what their pain points are, what their issues are, why they reached out to you in the first place, and then you sort of start to build a solution in your mind, and then I always follow up with a quote solution on an email, so they've got the chance to sort of look at it, read it, and then come back to me. And any questions, again, follow up with another call just to make sure that they understand everything on your quote and make sure you understand all their issues, not missed anything out. Fairly simple, I suppose. And from there, sometimes you just get ignored. Sometimes the client just totally blanks you and you get nothing back. It's annoying. Most of the time you get something back and you get an understanding as to whether you're pitching it about the right place, whether you've understood the business properly, whether you're solving their problems. So I think that's for me, that's the starting point.
Absolutely, absolutely. I've definitely got less upset about people ignoring me since working with accountants, that's for sure.
Yeah. If somebody ignores, just one less email, isn't it?
Exactly. And then the other question here, we talked about technology costs and software costs. Someone here has asked, how do you practice cost reduction and management with your VFO services without compromising on the quality of service received?
Um, cost. I think you've got to be, I guess, confident in what you're doing and how you do it, and then the efficiencies will come in terms of the costing. I think we don't use any sort of pricing, so we don't use a Go Proposer or an Ignition, but I understand how Go Proposer in particular works, and we sort of adopt a fairly sort of similar strategy in terms of how we pull pricing together. So we look at the scope of services and we look at the volume of transactions, and we know that if the transactions go up, then the fee goes up. So no, we're pretty confident about how long it takes us to do things. We have a sort of a minimum point that of entry where it's not worth us entering into a relationship with the client. If they're too price conscious, then they're not the right client for us. We're a firm of 250 employees. If we were a firm of fewer employees, we would probably be priced a little bit lower. That's fairly sort of sensible economics. We also offer added services to clients that go above and beyond the outsourcing. We have tax experts, we have payroll, we have year end. So the clients get added value for working with PEM over and above what we can provide. But I think it's that consistency and that fairness of pricing. So and the confidence that you know what you're doing and how long it takes to do. So every client does get then a fair price for the work you do for them.
I think that's really, really important. I think there's a lot of firms, unfortunately, out there that don't know how long these things take them. And so when we think about scope creep, a lot of it is actually just because they don't know how long these things are taking in the first place, right?
Yep. Yep. And there's
Perfect.
tools out there that pull data from zero to show kind of when transactions increase. Use these tools because that gives you a really good insight.
Absolutely. Thank you very, very much. I think key takeaways from my side, people, processes, technology, get them right, get them in order. And then from a client perspective, have the conversations, understand what it is that they are struggling with, what it is that they really need. And then you can plug those gaps for them. And it will be a match made in heaven. But a huge thank you, Andrew, for your time today. A huge thank you to everyone for joining us. As I mentioned, we've got another session next Tuesday at 4 o'clock and one the Tuesday after that as well. So please do register, jump on for any of those. But Andrew, huge thank you for your time. I'm sure it was really valuable for everyone. And I will speak to you soon.
Thanks, Kay. Thanks, everybody.
Take care. Thanks.
Bye bye.
Bye.